Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, December 3rd. Well, it's been a few weeks since we've taken a look at the global sea ice situation, and some very interesting things are occurring right now. Let's start off in the southern hemisphere, where it's been really on an amazing run in terms of sea ice aerial extent. This chart is from the University of Illinois Cryosphere website. It shows the southern hemisphere sea ice anomaly going back to the beginning of the satellite era back in 1979. Right now, the southern hemisphere is way above normal for this time of the year, and again, it's been on an amazing run since about 2011 or so. For the last 3 years, it's virtually gone straight up to the point now where it's at record highs for this particular day of the year, and we'll see in a moment. Not only the last few days has it been at a record high for this time of the year, but really for the last several weeks. Quite an amazing run in the southern hemisphere. And this is contributing to overall global sea ice to be above normal for this time of the year. In fact, we'll see in a few minutes, the global sea ice now is really at one of the highest levels going back about 20 years or so. Well, here's a chart also from the University of Illinois Cryosphere website that compares the current year to all the years going back to 1979. Again, this is for the southern hemisphere sea ice aerial extent. What we have on this particular chart is the time of the year going in this fashion right here. As we move to the right, we go farther and farther into this current year, 2013. Right here is where we stand right now in the southern hemisphere. This yellow line right here shows the current reading, and again, it's above all these other lines which represent all those years, some 30 plus years going back to 1979. And not only is it above or at a record level for this particular date, but it looks like it's been at a record level going all the way back several weeks here, and at this time period right here was way above all those prior years. So continuation of record high sea ice aerial extent in the southern hemisphere going on right now, and again contributing to above normal conditions on a global basis, and we'll focus in on that in the next few minutes. Well, what about in the northern hemisphere? Well, the northern hemisphere continues to have below normal sea ice aerial extent, and it really has had generally below normal sea ice aerial extent since about the mid-1990s or so. Now, why the mid-1990s? Well, this particular chart shows the monthly values for the Atlantic Multi-Decadal Oscillation Index. This particular index is used by meteorologists to track the sea surface temperature anomalies in the North Atlantic. And you can go back to about this time period right here, about 1995 or so, where there was a flip in the AMO. You see, before the mid-1990s, it was colder or negative phase here, and since about the mid-1990s it flipped to a positive or warmer sea surface temperature anomalies in the North Atlantic. So that flip in the mid-1990s, I believe, has a direct correlation to what we're seeing not only now but going back in that time period all the way back to the mid-1990s and before, directly correlated with the sea surface temperatures in the North Atlantic. And here's the Northern Hemisphere Sea Ice Anomaly chart, again from the University of Illinois Cryosphere website. Below normal. Again, it's below normal for this time of the year, and generally been below normal since about this time frame right here, about the mid-1990s. Before that, it was basically above normal, a sideways trend, and since about the mid-1990s, it flipped to a below normal, a negative trend here. And again, this is about the time that the AMO, the Atlantic Multi-Decadal Oscillation Index, flipped from a cold phase to a warm phase, warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in the North Atlantic, contributing to the below normal readings we're seeing in the Northern Hemisphere. When that AMO flips again, perhaps 5-10 years or so, and it will flip again, perhaps the sea ice in the Northern Hemisphere will go back to normal or even above normal, such as it was in the pre-mid-1990s time period. Well, how does the current Northern Hemisphere sea ice aerial extent compare to all years going back to 1979? Here's the very latest reading right here, the edge of this yellow line right here. It's certainly below normal and a little bit below the middle of the pack. This particular line right here represents last year, as a matter of fact, 2012. So certainly we have had significant gains in the Northern Hemisphere sea ice aerial extent this yellow line cut through about this region right here. And again, right now it's in this region right here, certainly below the middle of the pack right now, but again, I believe that's directly correlated to the sea surface temperature anomalies, which continue to be above normal or in a warm phase in the North Atlantic, and we'll continue to monitor this over the next several weeks. Well, finally, in terms of the global sea ice aerial extent, this data also from the University of Illinois Cryosphere website. Here's where we stand right now. This is the end of the 2013 time period. Highest level, globally speaking, thanks in large part to what's going on in the southern hemisphere since about this time frame right here, about 1994 or so. So 19 years, quite impressive run going on, again, largely contributed to by the southern hemisphere sea ice record extent for this time of the year. We'll continue to monitor all of this over the next several weeks and months to come here at the SIweather.com. That's it for now. I'm the SI meteorologist, Paul Dorian.